what challenges do you see that's still out there from a technology perspective that have to be overcome to help realize that full potential that you're talking about?
I think data protection still has to improve. And you talked about that. And I think people are very right and true to be worried about their data online. And I think that's true across everything. And I put this in the context of consumer protections, right? Like we want our data to be protected, whether it's our cell phone number or our credit card information or the data that's inside our company. It could be our customer base or email list or whatever.
Welcome to Emphasis Tech Talks, the podcast for business leaders navigating technical challenges to find a competitive advantage and elevate your bottom line. Today's guest is Rolan Reichel with ArrowAI. Rolan is the visionary behind ArrowAI and the founder. Hi, Rolan. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so really excited to have this opportunity to talk to you today. I know you're kind of known as a visionary in the AI world. Tell me, why do you think that you have that title?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, mostly because I've been working in the space for 7 or 8 years now. Back when AI was really just an idea, and lived in the academic and sort of theoretical worlds. And so I've over the last 2 companies that I founded, the one before this and ArrowAI, been focused on the commercial applications. And the idea is simple, right? Amazing technology, but if you can't bring it into your business world and improve your business in some way, then what's the point of it? So I think where I've been on the forefront is building real applications that have real business outcomes, and make businesses better using AI.
Wow, that's so important. In fact, I had that question brought up to me yesterday. Someone asked, about this whole the AI thing. And, my caution is that if you're going to spend the money, if you're going to go through the effort to dive into AI, you need to make sure that you have a real outcome, some real business value that you're going to arrive from that, other than just creating some cool images like some of the AI products do today, right? So, yeah, make sure you've got some value proposition there before you go spend the effort towards that. So, just to dive right into it, as you said, people have been working on AI for a while. You've been in the forefront of that. So what do you see for the future of AI technology, especially as it deals with the work you're doing there with ArrowAI?
So I think there's a really massive disruption in the business world that's coming very quickly. And what I mean by that is that just the way that in which we work every day is going to change a lot. I'll call out one number, and not always a big fan of numbers, but I think this number does tell a story. There was a study done on Fortune 500 companies. And what they found out is that employees were switching between 22 different applications and websites every single hour, right? So think about that. They were going from a website to Slack to a text message 22 times, 3,600 times a day. So this context shifting that we're doing right now is tremendous. And I think about it even in my own life, like I get a text from my wife and now I'm texting and then I'm back to work. And every time your brain has to make these like little adjustments, like, okay, what am I doing again? What am I doing again? And I think that we're going to see a lot of that context shifting go away as we move away from the browser as our primary work tool, and instead to a AI workspace where you'll be able to access tons of different platforms whichever ones that you want, all through one entry point. And that's going to change this context shifting a lot. And it's which is going to actually make productivity. I think when people talk about, oh, there's this productivity revolution coming, I think that's a really good measure of it.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing about the context shifting. I've seen some of that, but I had not seen the numbers put around it like you've described here. So that's amazing. I'm actually kind of shocked by that, but I can kind of see it, and it's one of my complaints about some of the SMS tools that are used a lot today. In that, especially in the development world. So for the coders that are working, behind the scenes, and those other kind of roles where they need a lot of good focus. I see that disruption all the time, and I think it's. I get it that it helps productivity in some ways, but I think it may also affect quality as well. So that's interesting, and that's a different aspect that I've not heard other folks bring up. So appreciate you bringing that to us. So in thinking about that, which aspects of the work that you're doing there with ArrowAI, with that work and your mission, how do you think that's going to resonate, or how does that resonate with you, Roland?
Yeah, so it's we're in a really interesting, I think, moment in time, and I want to talk about Arrow, but I just want to pull back for just a quick moment, right, and talk about kind of the way we work in general. So in 2027, you're going to see a shift. There'll be more people working in the gig and freelance economy than in the W-2 employee economy for the first time ever, right? So you're seeing this massive shift in how people work, where they work, the rise of the micro business, 41 million people working in micro businesses. So this landscape has changed tremendously. And the result of that is that we're now managing all these systems that we used to never manage, right? Like we've got QuickBooks and this and that and all these different things. And I think that when I look at the work output that we do every day, there's kind of two buckets. There's really high value work. That's revenue driving work. That's interacting with customers. That's talking to customers. Maybe it's winning new business. And then there's a lot of work that's required, but much more low impact on the business. And that's the stuff that I think is perfect for AI. And the way ArrowAI fits into that specifically is that we solve one problem right now, which is that you need to post on social media every single day for your business. And the reality is, if you're not posting on social media, it's almost like you're invisible, right? Because customers, are going to go by your social media. Yeah, they're going to go by your social media pages to see if you're credible or you're in business or see your hours. And if those pages are weak or out of date, then you're going to lose that customer. So Arrow automates the posting of this business content, and it takes it off your plate. And it increases both the visibility and credibility of your business. And it does it for the price of a cost of a large pizza every month. So we think it's pretty good value.
Yeah, so that kind of leads me into some of the work that I understand you've been doing with the Better Business Bureau. How does that? What kind of work are you doing there, or what of that work can you talk about, and how are you leveraging AI for that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It's a partnership we're really excited about. We just put that partnership together about 2 months ago, and we're the exclusive artificial intelligence and content marketing tool for the Better Business Bureau, which is the number one small business organization in the country. They provide an accreditation for businesses. And what I really love about the Better Business Bureau is they work with trades, plumbers, electricians, car repair, kind of all of these businesses, about 400,000 businesses across the US. And these are the businesses that typically are some of the last to adopt new technologies, right? So with this partnership with the BBB, where they can bring forward an AI-powered tool like Arrow and get it in the hands of these small businesses, we think we can help a group of people that have typically been some of the last to adopt this technology actually be some of the first. And that's a tremendous impact on their business in terms of productivity, in terms of putting time back in their pocket for some of those high value activities that we're talking about. So we're really excited. We launched in a couple markets, and the businesses that are using Arrow through the BBB are exactly that. It's roofers, plumbers, electricians, businesses all over the country.
Wow, that's awesome. That's always been a challenge. I know we work with businesses of all sizes. So we've worked with some startups. We work with some very small groups, 10 people or less. And then we've got, a number of medium-sized businesses that are clients. And then we have, Fortune 100 company as well. So we really run the full gamut. But you're absolutely on target that the smaller groups, the smaller organizations are obviously hamstrung when it comes to technology. And I am a little bit concerned about some of those and how they're going to compete in this new world with these micro gigs that you're talking about. That's going to be a real challenge for those folks. So when you first thought about starting Arrow AI, what what did you envision for the company? Is this what you're doing now? Is that what you envisioned, or was there some other vision? I know it's been some time ago that you started that. You've been doing this for a while. Was there a different vision initially, and now you've shifted, or has this been the vision all along?
So from the very beginning, our vision was to work with these small businesses and micro businesses. And part of the reason for that is I grew up in one. I grew up in Austin, Texas. I'll just give you a little bit of a personal story here, but I grew up in Austin,
All right.
Texas. And
Okay.
my parents were the original hippies. Like, I kid you not, they had the VW bug, and my dad had long hair and wore blue jeans. And so they were, of that generation. They went to college in the 60s. And when they, shortly after I was born, they became a small business owner. They opened up a shop, a little retail shop in downtown Austin, and they sold handmade goods and leather goods and jewelry that they made, true to their kind of hippie ideals, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
lived in that shop. We lived in the back, and so I grew up in that environment. And I know and saw firsthand, cleaning up and sweeping up the shop at the end of the day, and even helping them with the books. And they'd go out, and I'd run the cash register for a few hours when I was 10, 12 years old. So I really believe in the power of this small business community and the opportunities that we had as a family had from running that business. So when we first started the company, our vision was to serve that community, and that's never changed. We pivoted the product a few times and tried different things, and really find a product and a price point that makes sense for these businesses. And that's the SaaS product Arrow that we have today. But our vision and commitment to serve that small business community has been the same from the beginning.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a perfect background to be serving the clientele that you're serving now. So that's very cool. So tell me, we have both people that are in business today watching us, and likely some that are looking to get started. Tell me about some of the challenges you had to overcome while building Arrow AI from scratch.
Yeah, it's well, how much time do we have?
Maybe hit a couple highlights. How about
It's
that?
okay, I'll try and edit it down to just the things that happen today.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, look, startups are difficult. I think starting any business from scratch is difficult, but startups in particular are difficult because a lot of times you're launching a product that never existed
Mhm.
before. I mean, let's even take something we know in our everyday lives, like Amazon or Uber. Before Uber, there was no car service like
Right.
that, right? So at some point, there was a group of people sitting in an office somewhere with computers and laptops and meetings and working on something that did not exist. And I think that is the core of a startup. I mean, a lot of people say the difference between a startup and a business is startups scale really fast and businesses grow over time, and both make money and both are great businesses. But that's one of the key differentiators. I actually see it a little differently. I think the key differentiator between a business and a startup is in a startup, you're selling something that doesn't exist. And it might be a year and a half into the business before the thing that you're selling is actually a real
Yeah.
thing. And
Right.
so you find yourself in this strange world where you're building someone that no one in the world knows about, no one in the world cares about, no one knows why you're doing it, and some people, and some of them are your loved ones, think you're crazy for doing it.
Right.
So that's the biggest challenge, right? And so that's the biggest challenge, is to like, okay, what is this thing we're building, and to have the confidence and wherewithal. And the good thing is you get some feedback along the way. People use the product or an MVP of the product and give you some feedback. Hey, we love this. Hey, we hate
Mm-hmm.
this. But then, along with that, so that's the biggest challenge, I think, from sort of a philosophical level. But then on a more practical level, I mean, we went through all the challenges any business did, finding great people to team up with. We had some folks early in the business who left the business. I mean, getting the right team in place, getting the right technology in place, funding, developing the go-to-market strategy, building an offer and a value proposition that actually resonates with people. I mean, that's all stuff that just takes hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the same thing that we've gone through as well. Every new business are going to go through those things. And, that challenge of finding um, the right messaging and the right product, the right offering, um, is really it's a big challenge, and I think AI will help with that to some degree. But on the other hand, I don't think we can depend on AI to make all of those decisions for us either. So it's gonna, we're gonna continue to have those challenges for a while, I think. So tell me about ArrowAI. I know you're a visionary in the industry. Um, what are any plans, or are there any plans that you have to bring out anything new, revolutionary to the AI industry?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think with AI that we focus on is the underlying technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the revolution from my perspective is in the interface and how we actually interact with technology. So the best example I can give of that is like Tesla. Tesla transformed the driving experience. And when you get into a car, a Tesla, and you take your hands off the wheel and you're going 80 miles an hour down the road, that experience is incredible. Whatever's under the hood, whatever technology it took to create that experience is a bit abstracted.
Right.
And I think what's really exciting about this moment and what Arrow is bringing to the table is giving people that feeling of magic in the interaction. And what I mean by that is, let's take this social media posting. I'll bring it down to earth. We're working on, and we're very close to this, a completely conversational front end and UI. So if you want to post on Facebook, let's say I'm a plumber and I'm out in the trades and I just completed a job, I can take a couple pictures of that job on my mobile phone. I can text it to Arrow. Arrow will take that in. It'll text you back. Hey, these are really cool. Do you want us to post these on Facebook? Yeah, this is a job I just did. Can you post this on Facebook? And it'll go on the background and it'll do that posting for you. So that front end experience of like, this is magic. I'm just interacting with this technology in a very conversational way. I think is where the real revolution is coming. And imagine that magic UI across all kinds of different business processes, from scheduling an interview to posting on social media. And I think when these UIs and work experiences and workflows really come out and people start to engage and they get out of the browser and into these AI workspaces, that's when this is going to be. It'll be everything that we've seen in movies in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I think there's some things there to be excited about. Um, Obviously, there's some concerns that some folks have had uh, with that whole process and the possibilities. But with the right guardrails and so forth, I think we can handle that. And uh, and see the benefits. So that's awesome. What what challenges do you see that's still out there from a technology perspective that have to be overcome to help realize that full potential that you're talking about?
I think data protection still has to improve. And you talked about that. And I think people are very right and true to be worried about their data online. And I think that's true across everything. And I put this in the context of consumer protections, right? Like we want our data to be protected, whether it's our cell phone number or our credit card information or the data that's inside our company. It could be our customer base or email list or whatever. Now, the reality is that so AI is no different. That technology needs to respect consumer data and business data the same way that your email provider does, the same way that Google does, the same way that any other company does. And I do believe that consumer protection is the role of government generally to protect the consumer. I mean, that's what's been happening the last couple hundred years, whether it's, the quality of our food, the quality of our air, or the quality of our water, right? And so data protection is something that's just really in the last 4 or 5 years coming really into focus. And I think as consumers and business owners get smarter, they understand how important it is protecting that data and the value of it. And that's going to extend into AI. And I think as business owners, we should hold our providers, our technology builders to that level of standard that they need to, be good stewards of our data. If you look at the privacy policies that Arrow has, I mean, we put it right in our privacy policy terms of service. Big headline says, we're tech providers, your data is your data. And we believe strongly in that the data of the user belongs to them. We don't hold it, we don't keep it. It just flows through and does the things that it needs to do. So I think, if we can put good consumer protections in place and hold companies
Right.
accountable to the rules that are set up, I think we'll be in a good spot over the next 10 years. Now, the reality is not every country in the world does that,
Right.
has the same
Yeah.
consumer protections
Yeah.
that we're afforded here in the US.
Mhm.
But if you want to think globally, that's probably a whole nother conversation. But that's the framework that I think about it in.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's a real good perspective that you have. I really like um, your privacy policy that you've got there. That's awesome. I know that's a big challenge for consumers today. So try to use your cell phone and get all the features out of it without just giving away all of your data. I mean, if you're using Echo or any of those other similar type devices, I mean, you're giving away all of your conversations, everything that's said in your house. Um, so it's amazing the amount of data that we do give up, and I think most of that is not truly understood by the customer. Uh, but so there needs to be some really good transparency there, and yeah, that's a big topic. We could spend all day on that one for sure. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but it's great to see that a company like yours diving into AI and from the get go, seeing that as an issue and addressing it up front. So kudos to you and Arrow AI for doing that. I certainly appreciate that. Uh, so much of my career has been around data and protecting that data, and so that really resonates with me, both from a not only from a personal perspective, but as much so from a business perspective as well. So yeah, and that really does need to be addressed. We need stronger laws around it, um, and and frankly, just good stewardship of that data from the various providers that are collecting that data as well. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I love that term stewardship. And I think our privacy policy actually uses that term as well, stewardship, because I think that's exactly right. I mean, yeah, it's a responsibility. You got to take it seriously, and it starts at the top. It starts at the leadership of the companies, and I think it's got to be both consumers, companies, and government. a policy all have to work together to make sure that we've got the right mix of consumer protections in place. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that.
And when an organization like yours takes that on, well, that drives a lot of trust then from those folks using your technologies as well. And I think we could use a little more uh, good stewardship that drives trust like that. So I'm on board with that for sure. So tell me, Roland, I know we've got this social media platform that's posting those things. I know you've got that work you're doing with the Better Business Bureau. Are there other things that you're thinking about, areas in which AI is going to help improve our experience with technology or with our interactions with businesses?
That's a great question. I think that there's been a lot of thought around AI kind of on the front end, right? Like customer service seems like a really clear one. And, if you reach out to any big company right now, you're probably right up against some kind of AI customer service or whatnot. And, but I think where the real magic's going to happen is in business processes and flows. And that's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that's internal to companies, and like you could even think about it as like internet versus
Mm-hmm.
intranet, and companies creating their own networks and so that people can work within a context that's data secure for the business. And I think that's where AI is going to be really exciting, is solving some of these internal workflow things and getting people out of, lots of back and forth and detailed communication and into some workflows where they can be more productive. And that's going to tremendously improve the efficiency of these businesses and the efficiency of our overall economy. Now, what we do with the surplus that's created from these efficiencies is a whole nother question. But I do really,
Right.
I do, like as a society, we got to make those decisions. But I do think that's where the real shift is going to come. And like what we've seen in the last couple of years, or at least even in the last year from AI, has been a lot of fun, cool stuff,
Mhm.
right? Like, hey, you can get on OpenAI and ask it a bunch of crazy questions and see if it'll
Right.
break,
Right.
right? Or,
Yeah.
of course, you can make crazy pictures. Like I can, go on an AI site and be like, I would like to see, Roland as a Star Wars character, like 50 different Star Wars characters. Like that's super cool and fun,
Right.
right? Now I've got like
Right.
50 Star Wars avatars and I get a kick out of it. My kids get a kick
Sure.
out of it and everyone's having a good time. And I think we're in that early stage of like, hey, this cool toys and we can do, but what we haven't seen yet and what's really coming is and use the word revolution, and I think it's right, in sort of internal business processes that being deployed across really big companies, and then down into the mid market, and then ultimately into smaller companies as well.
Right. Yeah. I'm with you about the business processes. I'm seeing some work along that line already. Um, and as with any time new technologies come about, there's always the fear of it overtaking jobs, and there's the fear of the unknown there to a large degree. And so I think we have some of that yet as it relates to AI. But, uh, as those things are worked out and as we move forward, my expectation is that it just means that what we as individuals are going to be working on is going to be different. So we may not be challenged with, trying to go scrape and find some information that we need, some of those kinds of things, and it will improve our efficiencies overall. But I don't. I think it'll be interesting to see if and when it takes any of the jobs. But I think we've got a long ways to go before that happens for sure. So, Roland,
A long ways to go.
yeah,
Agreed.
yeah. So, Roland, I really appreciate you taking the time and visiting with us today, sharing your ideas and your experience here in AI. Super cool, the kind of work that you're doing over there at Arrow AI. And so I appreciate you sharing with us. Tell us, how can people reach out to you, connect with you, any kind of social media information you want to provide for them to be able to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on here, David, and talk about AI, which of course is a subject that I'm deeply excited about and committed to working on. So first of all, start off with our website and use your browser, since the browser still is the main way we get around the
Right.
internet. That's the vehicle where everything starts, and it's www.getarrow.ai. So www.getarrow.ai. All the links to our social media are on there. If you'd like, also you can subscribe to my profile on LinkedIn. It's Rolan Reichel, RolanReichel. And I also put out quite a bit of information around AI and other kind of exciting new things that are coming out in the space. So that's the two best ways to stay in touch.
Well, we'll have some of that information in the description below, so on YouTube anyway. So check that out, and that'll help make it a little bit easier to get connected with Rolan. Appreciate everyone stopping by and checking us out. Be sure to subscribe, like this podcast, so we get bumped up in the ratings here a little bit, and make a comment below. Let Rolan know what you think, or let us know what you're doing in the AI world. Check that out. Would appreciate you doing that. Have a great day. We'll see you again next week.